Hey, what's up? So today we're going to be doing some pulls and launches just to see where the car stands performance-wise. The car is a little bit dirty inside. It is my daily driver, so in a little bit, once it warms up, we're going to do some pulls, kind of show you guys the performance of this car. One thing you'll notice about this car, if you haven't driven any other BMWs, the steering is pretty heavy. It's not something you can grab with one finger and move easily. As you can see, my finger's sliding a little bit because the steering is pretty stiff, which isn't a bad thing in my eyes. It's actually pretty nice because you get pretty good steering feel in this car. I've noticed that with a lot of the newer BMWs, the steering is so light that you don't get much road feel, so you can't really tell when you're about to lose grip or when you're at the edge of the tire's limit. You don't get the E90 cup holders that come out of the dashboard. You get this kind of stuck on thing right there, and then one here, and then of course your cup holders in each door pocket, but those are at an angle, so you can't really put anything in there that doesn't have a lid or doesn't seal. You do get the direction you're traveling in the mirror. You get some garage opener buttons. I have upgraded to some carbon fiber mirror caps. I haven't really done much else with the interior. It's just your average black BMW interior. The car is warmed up a little bit, so we're gonna go ahead and we have traction control off, stability control off, as you can see, and we're gonna go ahead and do a quick 2 to 3 pull right here. So I don't really brake boost, we're just going to kind of get into it. So we're around 40, and then we're going to go ahead and get into it. So that's just a quick little pull. Put it back in drive and put stability control back on, but just going over some basic things about this car. You do have a N55. It's the first generation N55. You don't get the same one that you get in the F series. The transmission is the 6-speed. Just driving wise, the car is very smooth. When you do hit a bump or pothole or anything like that, it does shake the car quite a bit because it's on stiffer springs if you got that M Sport package. The gearing is not bad in this car. You do have an eco mode, which I believe just turns down your throttle response to kind of force you to save more fuel. I believe the interior of this car, although it is kind of ancient now compared to the brand new BMWs, is still pretty nice actually. You get a lot of natural light in here with this panoramic sunroof. It is black interior, so it does absorb a lot of heat, so I keep that closed most of the time. You do have paddle shifters. You do have your hated BMW stock turn signal where you go right and then it goes back to its original state. You kind of have to lift it up like a half lift to get it to turn off. So that is kind of annoying. You do have your automatic rain sensing wipers, which work pretty good, and you can control the speed of them with that little dial there. You do have, of course, automatic headlights and basically all the other stuff you get in the E90. You have heated seats, automatic AC, dual zone climate. You do not have vents in the back seats though, so all the air from the back seats are coming from your front vents. As you can see right now, I'm getting around 19 miles per gallon, almost 106,000 miles on the car. Some of you are probably wondering, this is not the OEM BMW badge, and that's because I've replaced it with a Kith badge. They did a collaboration with BMW on the M4, and I really like the way the badge looked, so I replaced it with this one. I did the same on the hood and the rest of the car badges. Down, we're gonna see if I can get some turbo noises quick. This car does handle very well for a crossover kind of SUV. Taking these corners pretty quick, and it's handling it pretty good. And there's not much body roll with this car unless you really throw it into a corner or you have, I'd say, more than 1 or 2 people in the car, then you start to really feel it. It does kind of depend on the tires you're running too. Right now I'm on Continental Extreme contacts in the rear and Continental Sure contacts in the front, so that could affect it, but it still feels pretty planted. Just a road I like to drive on. A lot of turns, a lot of straightaways, so once I find a nice straightaway, we're gonna go ahead and stop and kind of do our little launch control procedure and then get a good launch going and show you guys. this car actually feel pretty good too. Thinking that it has the same brakes as the 335 on a slightly heavier car, you would think they would feel kind of less adequate, but they feel just as good as they would on the 335i. I've let my friends drive the car just to kind of feel it and let me know what they think, because I've gotten used to it by now. But from what I've heard from most of them, my brakes are really touchy, and so is the throttle, so I guess that's a pretty good thing. We're gonna pull over here quick and then just do a kind of outside walkthrough of the car. So popping the hood. Engine bay is pretty dirty at the moment, but as of now, I have, of course, my full bolt on. My intake's right there, Burger Motorsports intake. I have my VRSF charge pipe. This is the front end of the car. And these brake ducts. You do have an oil cooler in here, which is kind of hard to see, but it's back in there. See it better from the wheel well, actually. It's right there. It does help a decent amount with oil cooling, depending on how much oil is flowing to it. You do have a valve that'll let more oil flow to it for better cooling. These are the rims I'm running right now. They're the Style 666M. Of course, your Xdrive35i badging. The carbon fiber mirror caps. Kind of just a walk around of the car. That door's not closed all the way. The rear end shot of the car. Of course, coming around the passenger side. As you can see from those revs, the turbo does make a little bit of noise when you're revving it, especially if you have an aftermarket intake. You can hear it a lot clearer. So there's a pretty good straightaway. This is a very quiet road, not many people on here besides me and this truck up here. We're gonna go ahead and hold that down until DSC is inactive. Go ahead and put it in first gear and brake to the floor, foot to the floor. Let it get up a little bit. Of course, the one time I'm trying to do a pull, everybody decides to take this road. Some turners, just show you guys. I'm foot to the floor right now, and we're handling the turns pretty well. Let's see if the car will downshift for me. There we go. Downshift. So that is tuned in. Those kind of rev match downshifts are part of my transmission tune that I'm running. These are not stock. So this is kind of just showing what a tuned X1 kind of drives like. Once we pass this construction crew, we'll go ahead and get on it when we hit that straightaway again. We're gonna go ahead and do a second gear pull. We're gonna take it up to 40 miles an hour. Get on. As you can see, this car just eats these corners up. It's not going to handle like your new sports car or anything that's smaller or made for better handling, but for a crossover SUV in its class, it handles relatively good. This car just builds boost so quick. At the moment, I think I'm around 16, 17 pounds of boost with my tune. It has spiked to around 20 PSI, but with just average driving, I'm getting around 12, 13 pounds of boost, what I've seen from my logs. This car is stock turbo at the moment, but I plan on going with an upgraded pure stage 2 plus turbo for this car, which should put me around 500-ish wheel horsepower with the right tune and supporting mods. And for a car that could be considered a hot hatch or just a very small crossover, 500 wheel horsepower is actually gonna be pretty nice. To make our way down to an open parking lot, and I'm going to show you guys what the launch looks like from outside of the car. I've been praising this car a lot through this video, but I'm gonna go ahead and talk about some of the cons or drawbacks of the car. So like I said earlier, a lot of the older technology, you don't get a lot of the newer stuff, and I stated that in my other video too. Another thing being, you don't get the 8-speed transmission, so highway riding is kind of 6 gear and then it just goes up after that. You don't get those 2 extra gears that help smooth out and get you better gas mileage that the newer cars get. There's no rear climate vents, and the steering in this car, like I said earlier, is pretty heavy. So if you're not used to that, or you want like a lighter steering car, this might not be the one for you. First, the seats are very comfortable. You do get the adjustable leg support, and they are full power seats with your adjustable bolsters and lumbar support. I know a lot of the interstate highways are around 70 mile/hour speed limits, so right when you're at 80 miles an hour, it's around 2,500 RPM. Another funny thing, the torque is so strong in this car that if I'm in first gear and I go to like get on it, let off, it'll cut power and set off the traction control light. Alright, so we are here. This is an abandoned parking lot. Not much going on here, so we're gonna set the camera up and then get a launch for you guys. And I definitely think I could do better, so I'm gonna include a clip of a launch I did that was actually really good. So that's going to be about it for this video. I just wanted to give you guys some quick little performance numbers and show you guys some pulls and launches and basically what this car can do once it's like, I'd say, midway tuned. Off-the-shelf tunes are decent, but this car is not reaching its full potential right now, and I can already tell.